Holy guacamole, it's been only 2 days and I'm already back on the second channel with another video. So I really wanted to talk about the new Dead Rising remake, or deluxe remaster, that's how they call it. It's basically a remake. I thought about doing a main channel video on it, but I don't think I have enough interesting talking points to really make a fun main channel video out of. Like, this game is still just Dead Rising, so I thought I'd do a little second channel review instead and just ramble a bit about it. You know, a little more low-key. So in case you don't know, I also talked about Dead Rising in my last main channel video, but I really like Dead Rising. This is one of my favorite AAA franchises of all time, and I hold the first 2 games in very high regard. They are clunky. They are really, really clunky games, and they haven't aged the best, but they are still really fun because it offers a very specific gameplay feel that you don't really see anywhere else. I've been playing this franchise since I was like 8, 9 years old, I'm not exactly sure. With the second game first, then I play Off the Record. I also played the both spin-off titles that are still stuck on the Xbox 360. Dead Rising 3, I played that one when it finally came to PC, and I remember playing it in like 480p quality. And Dead Rising 4, I actually pre-ordered that one on the Xbox. Yeah, I talked about it in my last video. I hate that game, it's awful. But a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I started playing the original. And I thought it was amazing. It's still really clunky, especially the AI. The AI is horrible, but it's really fun. It's such a unique game. So it's funny because about 3.5 months ago, I made a video of my most anticipated games of 2024. And then a week or so later, Capcom announced that they are remastering the first Dead Rising. So I couldn't really talk about it in my upcoming game videos. But when they announced this, I got so incredibly giddy. I was jumping up and down like a madman. And now, only 3 months later, they announced it 3 months ahead of time, which is crazy. You don't really see that anymore. It is out. I played it. I actually played the entire game in 1 day and then completed the rest of the achievements in another day. It took me about 18 hours to fully complete, but I completed the game and I loved it. This is such an incredible remake slash remaster that basically fixes all the main issues I had with the original Dead Rising. It's not amazing, but we'll get into that. So what is Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster all about? Well, of course, it's a remaster of the original game, but you basically, you play as Frank West, a photojournalist, and you get dropped in a mall called Willamette because you've heard rumors about riots. And Frank West quickly figures out that they aren't riots, but there is a huge zombie outbreak, and you have to try to uncover what caused the zombie outbreak while saving a bunch of stranded survivors and defeating psychopaths that went crazy during the outbreak. But you only have 72 hours to do it, which is about 6 hours or so. It's probably a little bit more because you die a few times, and it also doesn't count the cutscenes. But that's your main goal. Uncover the story and save survivors. Now, in the original, the saving survivor part was a huge problem because the AI in that game is so astonishingly bad. They got stuck on literally everything. They got stuck on literal air, and it was frustrating to beyond belief. You literally had to babysit them, which there was a certain charm to it though, because you really had to bodyguard them, but it was really frustrating and really goddamn annoying. In this deluxe remaster, they completely fixed the survivor AI. You can just walk away to the other side of an area, and they will just push the zombies away and walk towards you without a sweat. Sometimes you do need to help them, like sometimes zombies grab them and you have to save them, but most of the time it is smooth sailing. This is literally the only thing they had to change or improve upon the survivor AI, and Dead Rising would basically just be fixed, but they added so much on top of that. First of all, the most obvious thing is the graphical overhaul. The difference compared to the original and the remaster is night and day. The amount of detail that is present in this game now is insane, and they also have like realistic lighting and reflection, this game genuinely looks amazing. And it's so funny because they are still using the same animations of the original, so that Dead Rising flair of it is still somewhat there, which I really like. But because everything is a lot more detailed now, it is harder to spot certain key details. Like, I remember I was going into the hardware store to get the machete, and normally in the original, when I walk into the hardware store, I always see the machete laying on the ground. In the remake, I walked over it multiple times because there's just way more props and just clutter everywhere, which does make the game look a lot better, but certain elements are harder to spot. Another good example of this, about midway through the game, you find this cult of people with green masks and yellow coats. Before that, you see like these little pink flyers pop up around the mall. I didn't really notice that in the remake because in the original it was so obvious because you had the whole empty walls there. In the remake, everything is so detailed that it just slipped out of my eyesight. I think overall it is a worthy trade-off though, because again, this game looks so incredibly good. Every character is also voiced by a completely different person now, which at first I was a bit iffy on, but after I finished the game, I think every voice actor basically knocked it out of the park. I know that people really like TJ Rotolo, the original voice actor for Frank West, but the new guy, he did a really good job. I understand why they did it though, because all the side missions and like in-game cutscenes are all fully voiced now, which is such an awesome addition. I love it. They also re-added a bunch of cut content from the original, which is awesome. The most infamous one of these is the rocket launcher. That is in the game now. It's not very good. Honestly, it's kind of crap and you only get it at the end of the game, but it's just cool that it's here. They also re-added the police zombies be able to shoot you with pistols, which actually annoyed me at a few instances. But again, it's such a fun little detail that that was scrapped from the original, but they brought it back and it is great. I love it. They also tweaked a mountain upon of other issues, like the camera, for example. Now you can now tilt it left and right. It also has a flash and a bunch of other accessories you can unlock. Achievements are now in-game. You have like this little in-game list, which means if you start a new save file, you can redo all the achievements without using Steam Achievement Manager and resetting them all. And a lot of these challenges will also give you new rewards, like cool pieces of clothing or new weapons or books. There's a book that allows you to use a blender with literally everything. So you can combine two assault rifles together and you get a big machine gun. It's awesome. I love this. You can now fast forward time at a save point, which is really goddamn useful. The original Dead Rising had quite big chunks of you doing nothing. You can just skip that now. There's also autosaves, which I was against at first, but dude, I am so happy they added autosaves because I do not want to keep redoing pieces of content because I forgot to save. That's such an annoying thing, so I'm really happy they added a autosave. You can also move while aiming now. Very basic feature that wasn't in the original, but it's here now. There are just so many of these little quality of life features and these little tweaks that makes the gameplay so much smoother, like all the wrestling moves. On the original, it was a mess, man. You had to position your hands and fingers in like these weird positions on your keyboard. Now it's just a simple button press. It's great. You have all these amazing little features and changes that they made, but they kept the core of Dead Rising intact. When I was playing it, I was still just humming along that classic Dead Rising soundtrack, like all the mall music, and I was just going through it with a giant smile on my face. I was having such a blast, man. Again, I completed the entire game in one day. I did it in one day, I was hooked. And then you also have the infinity mode changes. If you watch this video, my achievement video, I should say achievement video because I mispronounced achievement in this video. I talked about the 7-day survivor achievement, which was an achievement in the original Dead Rising where you had to play the infinity mode for 7 days, which is about 14 hours. You can't save. You have to do this in one sitting and your health is slowly ticking down. You have to plan your day around this achievement. It is so poorly thought out, but in the remaster remake, they fixed it because you can skip time. I did this achievement in about an hour. This infinity mode now is fun. They completely fixed it. It's a fun side mode now. And you can also see the survivors and psychopaths on the map now that you can go to and kill so you can get more healing to survive longer. They fixed the infinity mode. They fixed 7-day survivor. I can't believe it. Which means, yes, I fully completed the Dead Rising remaster in less than 20 hours. Mostly because, like, I've played Dead Rising like 8 times already, so I know where everything is. I know all the tricks, all the strats. My first run was perfect. I got all the survivors, I killed all the psychopaths, I got the best ending. I did everything on my first try. And I loved it. This is such an incredible remaster. They nailed it. But not all of it is perfect though. The big controversy around the deluxe remaster that you might have seen pop up online is some of the things are censored from the game, which most of them I can understand why. The first one of these is they removed the erotica category from the camera, which if you took like very pervy photos of girls, like their panties or their boobs, you got a erotica category. I understand why they removed this. Like, this is just super pervy, man. And for one of the side missions, you had to take pervy photos. It was just such a... Like, this adds nothing to the gameplay experience. It's just weird. It's just weirdo shit. They also race swapped one of the final bosses from a Chinese butcher to an American one, which I also think is better because Dead Rising talks about how much meat Americans consume. And for the butcher to be Chinese isn't really important. I think it fits more that the butcher is American because there's such a focus on Americans and meat. There is, however, one change, one censorship that I'm not a huge fan of, and that's from the psychopath called Cliff. In the original one, this is a Vietnam War veteran. In the remaster, they made it so he's just like a generic army guy. In the original, he mentions like communism and Vietnam. In the remaster, he just calls you a mole. And he's just like schizophrenic or something. It does really take away from this character. Well, I think the other changes, they aren't really important. Like the butcher being race swapped doesn't really alter anything. This with Cliff does genuinely make the character less interesting. I understand why they did it though, because they wanted to sell the game in China, and China is really strict about these things. But you know, it's still a change that kind of sucks, and I wish it was the other way around. People online are really overblowing this though. Like these are like there are maybe like 5 of these really small censorships around the game. Besides that, everything is intact, especially the gameplay, which they only polished up to perfection. They even kept in all the broken strats from the original, like the mannequin torso being able to one-hit zombies, or the mini chainsaw. You can still stack 3 books on top of it and have a 2000 durability like melee weapon. They kept it in, they just fine-tuned the living hell out of it. The core of the game is still here, and that's why I love it so much. Even the animations are still all the same. Some other things that I was a little annoyed over, mirrors. Some of the mirrors just don't work, which is really weird because they have working mirrors in the game. Reflections at night are also kind of ugly, if I'm honest, but besides that, everything else is perfect, man. If you ever were interested in diving into Dead Rising, I think this remaster makes the original obsolete, simply because of the AI changes. Everything else is just an extra cherry on top. I played this game once. I'm probably not gonna play it again because it's just Dead Rising. Like, I've played this game like 8 times, but what a game, man. I loved every second of it, and I hope this game brings the Dead Rising franchise back. They already said they are interested in bringing it back, but please make another Dead Rising game or remake the second one. one. And if you're gonna remake the second one, please, Capcom, please, please, please do not remove co-op. And please let me down my teammate. Let me bully Opsilon. That's all I'm asking for. But yeah, that's really all I got to say. Go check out Dead Rising Deluxe Remastered if you're interested. I loved it. And yeah, alright, that's it. Alright, take care everyone. Bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye.